Welcome back to another special Christmas special here at Backstage Astrology. I'm here with Alex Trenoweth. If you have followed the channel, you already know her. She's been here with us before. Alex, welcome by the way. I know
Thank
you're
you.
an expert, on astrology, childhood, and adolescence. And I wanted to ask you, what would be like, not the perfect Christmas gift for our kids, but somewhere in the middle. But we were talking before a little bit, and I remember, and you mentioned that Jupiter is the ultimate kind of like Santa Claus kind of like
It,
figure.
he is Jupiter, basically, because he brings you joy. He brings you exuberance. He's kind of fat and jolly, and he brings you what you want, which we kind of think of, exactly what we think of Jupiter. But you can go too far the other way and go for the overindulgence. We all know what it's like to eat too much Christmas dinner
Right. Yeah.
and slob around in front of the television watching whatever movies are on on
Right. And yeah,
cable.
we're in Sagittarius
Home
season right
Alone yet
now.
again.
Yeah. Now showing the new generations, no? Home Alone again, the movie. But
It's a
Alex, tell
Wonderful
us,
Life.
yeah. Tell us why Jupiter is so important only not only for, in the chart, but education, childhood, adolescence. Why Jupiter?
Okay, so we teach children by year group. So that means that each classroom has its own particular Jupiter because the children will be taught under this Jupiter sign. And the teacher, whether they realize this or not, they kind of cater to their children, the children in the classroom, their learning styles. Now, I have heard some astrologers talk about Mercury being the planet of learning. And all I can say is good luck with that because I think Mercury is more to do with rote learning. But
Mm.
not only that, because Mercury stays so close to the sun, it is possible they could have all 12 signs of Mercury in a classroom, which makes it quite unusable for teaching. Whereas Jupiter is only one or two signs to remember, and it's pretty easy to keep track of. So
Right.
Jupiter is, whereas Mercury is a little pieces of information, Jupiter helps you to expand that information. It's blows out the lesson, and it gives children, something or students something to it piques their interest. It gives them something
Mm.
to want to explore and to take to the next level. Whereas Mercury doesn't really do that. Mercury is more like kind of repeating what it hears. It's those little pieces of information, you know.
Ah.
1066 was the Battle of Hastings. That's an example of Mercury learning. You just memorize a date you don't understand. The Jupiter
Oh.
learning is taking that information to look at how it builds throughout British history. You can look at the castles. William the Conqueror built the first castle, and you can expand it into geography. Whereabouts in England were those castles built? How did the castle structures change throughout history? How did warfare change throughout history? So you see, Jupiter takes that little piece of knowledge and expands it and allows the student to have the freedom to explore that little bit of piece of information. So it's Jupiter
Wow.
that's the planet of learning, not Mercury.
Yeah,
And
so yeah,
anybody
I
want
think
anybody wants to fight me can.
No, I mean you're also a teacher. Come on, so you're very familiar with education, and then you're an astrologer. So I mean, I think we have pretty much confidence that what you're saying is the right thing. But I think what I'm hearing is more like Mercury is more about facts, like more factual, maybe like the small data and like this information, keeping it somewhere in your brain, like in a drawer. And Jupiter is more about integrating maybe that piece of information and taking it somewhere else. So, Alex, when we are choosing like a Christmas present for our kids or our adult, how you call teenagers, what would you say for those who have like Jupiter in, I don't know, in a specific sign? Would that work, first of all? Would that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of astrologers would take Venus for
Ah,
making you happy. to be a present. But see, with Jupiter, you can make everybody happy. You could choose a present, that includes the whole entire family, for example, but I think that, another thing that parents tend to reach for immediately these days are the electronic games.
Mm.
It used to be PlayStation or Game Boy, or whatever, but now it tends to be mobile phones, apps, games that you can play on your
Mhm.
phone, things like that, or gift cards that allow you to buy tokens to play your games or
Mhm.
whatever. By the way, I
Mhm.
play Merge Dragons, if anybody's feeling generous.
Where is your Jupiter?
Oh, my Jupiter's in Cancer, which means that,
Ah.
there's nothing more I like to do than, sit in bed with a packet of Cheez-Its next to me playing games and don't let me do that. Don't let me do that. Uh, you know, get me, out of the house. I do enjoy, just for my own Jupiter. I do, as I get older, enjoy, a fine meal,
Makes
with
sense.
people that, I'm familiar with. I'm a little bit, as I get older, I'm somebody who doesn't really, I like to be around familiar people. Um, if you're going to give me a present, I'd like to be with somebody that I've known for a while. Obviously, things that I love history.
Yeah.
So, things that allow me to look, back in the past, and I especially love culture, looking at, culture through history. That really interests me. So I don't like war. That's not me. But I'm
Mm.
interested in, how families change throughout time. Yeah, I'm interested in looking at old craftsmanship.
Oh.
To give you an example, I recently learned how to churn my own butter,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, I saw that on Facebook, on your
and
Facebook.
that's been keeping me very entertained because now I'm into baking, and I never used to be. And so things that, look back at the past and allow me to find my place in history, and kind of to imagine, I'm glad I don't have to hand wash my clothes, but I do like to go back and, experiment with, how did they make detergent? How did they live, 100 years
Oh, you
ago? Those
like
kinds of
this.
things
Mm.
really interest me. So if we start at the start of the zodiac, I can give you some examples of, how I think each, Jupiter sign. So that is not the same as your sun signs. You're going to have to do a little bit of looking around.
Mhm.
Jupiter is currently going through the sign of Cancer. So
Mhm.
if you have a baby that's born, this year sometime,
Yeah,
they're going to have Jupiter in Cancer. If you have a child around the age of 11 or 12, they're going to have Jupiter in Cancer. So
right.
Jupiter moves one sign forward, every year
Every
about.
year.
So you're gonna have to put a little bit of effort into this. It's not hard. You could probably ask Chat GPT, if I was born this date, where's my Jupiter sign? Double check though, because
Yeah, double check. Yeah, I was gonna say because
Chat
it's not
GPT
always
isn't
right.
isn't always,
Yeah.
doesn't quite, understand astrology. I asked it something the other day just to see what it would say. And it was like, oh, the transiting sun is Kazemi. And I was like, no, no, forget that. You're way off. You're trying to be clever by talking about Kazemi. You don't know what you're talking about. Just
Yeah.
forget it. They're
Yeah.
trying to be too clever. So you're going to have to double check.
Mhm.
But it's not difficult. You can go on astro.com or
Yeah.
and enter your details, and you can find out. It's not difficult.
Mhm.
So let's start with Jupiter and Aries.
Yeah.
So Jupiter in Aries likes things that are fast.
Mhm.
Jupiter and Aries like to do things independently, and they
Mhm.
like to think that they don't need other people. So if you actually want to teach Aries, Jupiter and Aries, a lesson, is to get them to work as a part of a team. So if you want them
Mm.
to learn, have them work as like a partnership. So things like card games that rely on speed, but also rely on you communicating with your partner,
Mhm.
is something that's a really good thing for, Jupiter and Aries. Jupiter and Aries also masters, one skill at a time. But they will eventually develop one skill that they will be unbeatable at. And a good example is Fergie of Black Eyed Peas. She
Oh.
became a spelling bee champion.
What?
Yep, she went really high up into the nationals. So there is usually one skill that they become really good at that
Oh,
nobody
wow.
can beat them. These are world record holders, things like that. Things that you would
Mm.
never think of, that they're good at. Now Jupiter and Taurus, they
Right.
like to collect things, but they have to. they have to understand that not everybody assigns a monetary value to things because they like to collect, they tend to collect things that look expensive. Designer
Uh-huh.
bags. For example, let's use like designer handbags. So, you might think, okay, well they could add to their collection designer handbags.
Mhm.
What might teach them a lesson is making a donation in their name to some charity to show them, okay, listen, you can live without that.
Oh,
Put it
wow.
where it matters. And they might not like it at first. It's one of those gifts that, they're going to look at it, be like, oh, why didn't you give it to me? Why do I got to give it to them? But they will learn that, they will learn the value of what they actually have. So you see, the gifts have something that is for them that they would like, but also there's a lesson behind it.
Oh, that's
Okay, so
nice.
Jupiter and Gemini, they are the versatile guys. They like to do a little bit of everything. In a classroom, they tend to polarize. They tend to be either super speedy learners that are blasting ahead of everybody else, and then you get the really reluctant learners who are terrified. Someone's going to ask them to write a book review about the only book they haven't read. And so they're terrified of being called out on. So the obvious gift for Jupiter and Gemini are things like Trivia Pursuit games, whereas the better gift for them might be something that will allow them to dig in a little deeper into something that they're interested in, but it kind of makes them look at things in a more profound level. So not
Mm.
Trivial Pursuit, but maybe something far more specific that really allows them to use their knowledge and to be like the sort of the authority on that bit of information. So
Oh,
they develop the confidence it takes to become the orators and become the teachers that they are naturally. They want to develop that confidence. Now, I did Jupiter in Cancer about, yeah, of course,
mhm.
I want to sit in bed all day in my home and do nothing but eat chocolate and popcorn and um, watch old movies. But the better gift would be, to get me to do some crafts, to get me out of the flat, to get me to mingle with people that I'm not familiar with. Okay, Jupiter and Leo, what do you think they might like? Of course, they would like nothing but to sit on their throne and to be admired. They might want you to get them the tiara and the scepter and the
Right.
what they call the ermine coat and stuff like that, and be admired all day. But the better gift would be for them to learn how to help somebody who's less fortunate they are. It's very similar to Jupiter and Taurus, but learn to get off the stage and let somebody else shine. Let
Mm.
them exercise their true generosity.
Hmm.
Would be something that they'd enjoy. Well, I should say something that they could learn from. Now,
Hmm.
Jupiter and Virgo, what do Jupiter and Virgo like to do? They like to make things as shiny and spotless and clean as possible. They would probably like nothing more than cleaning products. I'm kidding, Virgo, I'm kidding. We don't really think about you as doing our dishes for us. We really don't. But what could be like something that would be more in line for putting their skills to use? I could see somebody with Jupiter and Virgo really enjoying getting their hands dirty in a soup kitchen on Christmas Day,
Right.
doing
Or
some
something to
charity work,
fix, maybe something to fix or to improve, like
or allow somebody else to fix something for them.
yeah.
Okay, so they don't feel the
Oh,
pressure to be perfect all the time or to feel like they always have to be the ones to fix. I think the better gift would be to serve them for a change. Let them give them the treat, let them they're going to fuss over whatever you do for them. They're going to,
see, make peace with that first of all.
but yeah, but let them look after them for a change. Now, Jupiter and Libra, for them, it's all about the men. And I would love to take Jupiter and Libra to one of those bars, where the staff are deliberately rude to you, where they're just like so awful to you. And they would just sit there going, oh my, oh, what? They would be so uncomfortable. But what they would learn from that is like, there is an ugly side to everything. But how can you still have to relate to these people that are, not
Yeah.
very nice. And how can you exercise your diplomacy skills in these sort of circumstances? But, if you want to make a Libra very happy, a nice, happy social occasion where
Mm.
everybody is very dressed up and but not too
Yeah.
dressed up, not uncomfortably so. But just, when we have a really nice sort of high society tea. I if I really wanted to make them happy, I'd take them to tea at Fortnum and Mason, just to experience, a little bit of luxury in a very nice environment.
Right.
Jupiter and Scorpio, how can you make Jupiter and Scorpio? They like to be scared.
I see. Really.
Their idea of seeing God is seeing how close they can get to death. So
Uh,
death-defying stunts. But I think the better thing for them to do would be to put their good healing skills to good use.
uh-huh.
Learning maybe like like how to do a massage on your
Hmm.
shoulders, of course, on your feet or on your shoulders, please. They might like doing it in other places, but on the feet or shoulders, and helping them to make somebody else um, feel feel better in their bodies, I think would be a polite way of putting that.
Do you think
Jupiter,
these are the people that like, to get like tarot cards or like crystals or something like that or not?
they do tend to like the sort of the those sort of things.
Uh-huh.
That would be something that they would like. Um,
Esoteric. Uh-huh.
yeah, the esoteric.
Uh-huh.
They would enjoy that. I think they would also enjoy perhaps having their own tarot cards done. That might be something they would enjoy.
Ah, wow.
It's because you see, they're so intuitive, they would like to do that for you, but maybe to have them, so they can experience the other side of power.
I see. I
Because
see
the
where
whole
you're
entire
going.
thing about the Jupiter is about, of course, what you like to be indulged, but
Right.
where you can get outside of your comfort zone and actually
Ah,
experience something, and therefore lead you down to, something slightly different, more towards a learning zone
I
that
love it.
you can get something out of.
Hmm.
Jupiter and Sagittarius are full
Hmm.
of advice for everybody, right?
See.
It doesn't matter, what it is. They are, in the classroom, they have the most outrageous opinions, and you could tell that it's something that they've heard. They're badly repeating something that somebody else has heard. Some politician
Oh,
has said something badly. So I would get them doing some charity work, hauling some groceries around,
wow.
working in a food bank, so they can see what the bread line actually looks like,
Mm,
and therefore
mm,
they're going to learn, you know, maybe I shouldn't be so judgmental. Maybe it's better if I observe before I start running my mouth.
mm.
And not that all Sagittarians have a big mouth, but a lot do. Because that's what we think about Sagittarius. Not that they're unkind, but that they are free to express their opinions in whichever way they want. But they have to realize, hey, there is another person on the other side of that that is going to
Hmm.
hear you and might have their feelings hurt. To be aware of other people's feelings. Jupiter and Capricorn, uh,
Yeah.
Scrooge, right? You might like nothing more than to just sit around, counting their wealth or counting their successes, but turning that wealth, just like like the Scrooge and Charles Dickens had to learn, you know it's not in what you have, it's what you give away that makes the world
Right.
matter. And I think in Jupiter and Capricorn could do with learning a little bit about that lesson. um, you can't measure your success by what you actually have. It's about how much you can give or how much success you can
Mm,
provide for another person. Now, Jupiter and
mm,
Aquarius, always a trick with Jupiter and Aquarius because they're kind of oppositional. If you want them to be cooperative, you kind of have to, portray the opposite way. So, for example, if I want them to be patriotic in the classroom, not that I would want to, I'm just using it as an
yeah, an
example.
example. Hmm.
I would say like, oh, I can't be bothered to sing God Save the Queen or God Save the King. I don't want to. And suddenly they're singing the national anthem like canaries. So they need to understand that, you have to, it's okay being an individual. That's
Uh-huh.
fine. But whatever you do is going to get you attention in some way. So it's like their opposite sign, Leo, who would like nothing more than to be admired. I think that Jupiter and Aquarius could do with a little bit of that fairy dust and magic and to be admired. Listen, you do amazing things. Thank you very much. Showing them a bit of gratitude,
Yeah.
letting them know that, hey, you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate that. You know,
Wow, I have Jupiter in Aquarius. I was listening, like, I think it's true. Everything you said, it's like sometimes we go to the other side, like the Leo, and then back, like I don't know where to put myself, and it's very hard for me to, yeah, when someone gives me a compliment.
I could tell because we were just talking about, I was saying what an amazing film editor you were, and he immediately started getting all twitchy and,
You noticed.
embarrassed. I did notice. And but I think that, that is something that, I think you don't hear enough. And I don't think that I think practicing being um accepting praise, I think is
Mm,
something that Jupiter and Aquarius finds very difficult. And
yeah.
our dear Jupiter and Pisces, they like everything. They're very accepting people.
Yeah.
And I think, what we can really do for Jupiter and Pisces is just give them all the alcohol and they can stand. Let them get sick a few times. Let them barf their guts out for a couple days and just sort of say, see, there are limits to what you can take. Let's sort it out. Um, in all seriousness, for this Christmas season, I'm gonna, sort of say, try sobriety for every single sign, have a Christmas without alcohol or without whatever sort of
Right.
indulgence that you like. And um, use what you would, it is the season of good cheer. There are enough
Yeah.
people and places on this planet that, your sacrifices would mean an awful lot. And
Hmm.
so, think about, for all the Jupiter signs, think about, it's in giving that we receive.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Alex. Well, this was very helpful. Maybe people were expecting, yeah, to give us a list of persons, but I think what you gave us is how can we learn through giving. So I really, really appreciate what you've done here. And Alex, again, you're always welcome here to talk about
thank
anything.
you.
Please don't forget about us. So, guys, here it is. Alex, thank you so much for this
Thank
really
you.
quick
However you celebrate,
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, however you
Thank you.
celebrate.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Happy
Merry
New Year
Christmas,
too.
guys. Happy New Year.